Hello, my name is Boland. I'm chairman of the Milltown Towns Association, and normally every year we have a heritage walk and talk in Milltown, which I would welcome you to. But because of the corona restrictions this year, we are doing it online, and I hope you will enjoy it just as much as if you had been there in person. Thank you.
I'm Betty O'Shea, born and reared in Milltown. Milltown, or Balla-on-Willen, the town of the mill. We'll first look at how old this village is. And we reckon that it may go back 3,000 years because items have been found. First of all, there was an axe head, which is now in the National Museum, and that goes back about 3,000 years. Then we had a bog body found in Barnestown, and that was about 400 AD. And then a Viking sword was found in Whelan, dating back about 1,000 years. So we can fairly safely say that Milltown is quite old.
My name is Pat Reddy and I'm treasurer of Milltown County Towns, and I just want to say a few words about Milltown County Towns. Was set up in 1983 by a committee of Julie Heffernan, Paddy O'Neill, John Downey, Joan O'Neill, Fred Slicker and Bridie Dunny. In 2001 we regrouped, myself and Dan Boland joined up, and in 2014 Jack Dunn and a few others joined as well. So we had a big clean up in 2014 in the whole area, where practically all the locals joined in, and we got 5 lorry load of rubbish around the area. Since then a lot of flowers have been planted and around the area, and the help of FOSS workers we've cleaned up every week. So the Milltown County Towns Group received an Endeavour Award in 2018, and Millview Estate have won 10 first prize for pride of place with Kildare County Council. We're very pleased to have a defibrillator since 2018 at the inn, with 18 people trained in to use it.
We have our church, which was built in 1817 with the subscriptions for the locals and the help of a famous Father John Lawler. And we celebrated our 200th anniversary just a couple of years ago. And beside the church we have the ruins of an old church back to the penal times. And then also we have the ruins of an old church on the banks of the canal. In our graveyard here we have the headstone to the famous Mull Anthony, who was a healer and had many cures. She lived in the Hill of Grange, and but she was from the Red Hills. Then if you come down here from the graveyard into the first school that was built around here is in 1828, and that has now become the Heritage Centre. And across the road then we have the school built in 1926 with lands given by Mrs. Teresa Kelly. And that school has catered for many people. At one stage there was 100 pupils in the 2-room school. It had a dry toilet, and then in recent years we have a new school in the area. If we walk down along, we have the Bridge of Milltown, which leads on to the mill. And that mill could go back for at least around 1584. Long before the canal was built, the Milltown mill existed. And at one stage in 1630, it was valued at £6. The canal then was built in more recent years, and there's plans in place now for the inland waterways to bring boats up along and down to the south. Further down then we have Father Moore's Well. Father Moore was a local curate, and he had extraordinary powers. He had a famous hat that was given to a man who was ill, and it cured a man, and Father Moore said it was to be left over in Ford's house. And ever since, the Ford family have been the custodians of that house, or at that hat, and have made it available to people. The well then was railed in 1952 by some locals, and it's been a place of pilgrimage ever since, with many people believing that they have got great cures there. Further on then we have Pollardstown, and there was a church in Pollardstown and a monastery, and there's a graveyard up in Pollardstown, and some would say that the missionaries years ago were coming from Tara via the Hill of Allen on through Pollardstown as they were going down south.
Hello, Noel Dunn is my name. I'm chair of the local football club here in Milltown. I'm just delighted to be asked by the Tidy Towns to come here and say a few words. The club was formed here in January 1888 and has been going ever since, which makes us the oldest affiliated club in the County Kildare, which we're very proud of. We've a long history in the area, and in fact in the early 1900s there was a county final here played here between, as far as I know, between Clane and Monasterevin. So a few years afterwards then we had a man, Paddy Ryan, a local man, lived up near Father Moore's Well, who played in an All-Ireland final in 1928 and won an All-Ireland medal. 3 years after, another local man, Mick Finnerl, played in an All-Ireland final, but unfortunately he came out on the wrong side. Kerry beat Kildare, who were going for their first 4 in a row at that time. So down the years we have had ups and downs, but we've also had a great bit of spirit in the area, local people, and plenty of people from the area have represented the county level, and there's other organisations that's helped us out during the time, and there's been athletic clubs here in the area. There was also camogie clubs that some of my own family, nearly every one of them, I think, played with camogies anyway. And so at the present moment we are developing, we have 27 teams between girls, boys, hurling, football, and in view of that, in the last few years we have developed a pitch with the help of national sports grants, capital grants. We got grants from the Leinster Council and of course from the local people who have put a huge amount of money into it, which makes our life handier. And at the present moment we have a new pitch, a new full-size pitch and a smaller pitch for underage pitch, both of them, and at the minute they're just ready to be seeded and ready to go, and hopefully next year it'll be there for everyone, it'll be there for the locality. Also incorporated in that, with leader funding, we have put a walking track all around it, so people won't have to be going up on the roads to come down. If mothers or fathers want to bring their children down for training, if they're not involved in the training, they can go for a walk around the pitch, and so that'll be there for everyone. We're hopefully to put up lighting and all that in the area, but it would not be done without the help of the local people, and we have to acknowledge that it's a great thing, and it's a great thing to be there for everyone in our time. I'm just privileged to be head chair at the moment, but we have a great committee, and we have at present, like, talk about gender balance, I'm chair, I'm male, but our female secretary, female treasurer, female PRO and female COVID officer, so surrounded by women, so I have to do what I'm told.
The graveyard, the local Ferrogia group did a lovely little garden of remembrance, because in olden times the graveyards were divided between consecrated and unconsecrated ground, and the local Ferrogia group decided that they would do some work on the unconsecrated ground and build a remembrance garden. And they planted snowdrops and crocuses and put up a nice plaque in memory of all those who died, babies who died at birth, or people wandering the roads, or people who had committed suicide. So that's a lovely garden of remembrance there. Then we have the famine pot that was donated to us by Paddy Carroll in Kildare, whose family came from Milltown. And that was in memory of all those who died during the famine in 1844-1847. About 1 million people died in Ireland during the famine. We also put up a little plaque to two local lads who died in World War I, Patrick Fennell and Thomas Walsh. And that little plaque remembers those two guys. And in remembering them, we also remember their brothers, Patrick Walsh, who came back from the war, and Mick Fennell was the brother of Patrick Fennell. And Mick Fennell was a local GAA man later. Another group we have here for young people leaving the national school is the John Paul II Awards, where young people come together, meet on a regular basis and do the readings of Mass and collections, and they're under the supervision of Roisin Field. And it's a great group that come together, and they enjoy themselves to go on many pilgrimages, and they're a great asset to the community. One famous lady in this area was known as Granny Reddy. She was known as Granny Reddy to every one of us going to school, and even when we became adults, she was still Granny Reddy to us. Granny Reddy took care of the church and the school, and we have here the keys to the school which she used. She was a locally jovial woman and loved by everybody. At the bridge of Milltown, there's a beautiful walk right down along the canal, and it leads down to Pluckerstown. And we've got grants from Kildare County Council and the Inland Waterways to help develop this, and it has been used extensively during the COVID-19 epidemic. A great source of conversation for people walking both sides of the canal. We have a famous swan down there who's created a little bit of activity, but it's still lovely to see the swans on the canal. Coming up there at the bridge in Milltown, then we have the Hangman's Arch pub, which is dating back to 1880. And the story of the Hangman's Arch was that there was a boatman who fell in love with a local girl, and he went off on his journeys hoping that she'd be there when he'd come back, but unfortunately she fell in love with another man, and he came back and he hanged himself, and thus it was called the Hangman's Arch. Coming up further then we have the Inn at Milltown. Previously it was, a number of people have had it over a number of years, but it was owned by Gribbons, and before that it was owned by our own relations, the O'Sheas, or the Sheas at that stage. And in 1901 Mrs. Dunn, Nee O'Shea, was there, and she had 7 of her children working in it. Sadly they were all dead by the early 1900s. Later on that shop was burnt down, and a man from Dublin bought it, and then Gribbons's. It had a little snug in it where that's the only place that a woman could take a drink. She wasn't allowed into the main bar. But it's now a thriving business there for the community, very well run, lovely meals, lovely restaurant, as do the Hangmans provide lovely meals as well. We also have a number of other groups in the area. On the first Sunday of every month, Betty Field and Jack Dunn organise a cup of tea for people who come out from 9:30 Mass. They also organise card games in the old school. The ICA was very, very active in this area. for a number of years. Unfortunately, it's now dormant. We have an art group meeting in the old school, and we have a gun club in the area. We have, as Noel said before, we have camogie and sports for the children and the young people. The Grand Canal was started in 1756, and in 1763 there was just 10 miles built. It was built to link Dublin to the Shannon. It's 82 miles long, and then the Milltown feeder is about 5 miles long. At the bridge then, when you turn to the left, you're on the way then to the Pollerstown Fen. That was developed about 10,000 years ago. It's about 220 hectares, and it's the largest calcareous spring-fed fen in Ireland. It's of international importance, and people travel there from all parts of the world to view the flowers and the insects that are there. A boardwalk has been installed there to allow people to view the whole fen and to see everything up close. It was made a natural reserve in 1986. We have some lovely photographs of the canals and the swan on the canal, and we also have a photograph there that was on the weather forecast of the canal. And we have a flower stand now which represents the mill wheel. We would like to acknowledge the help and support we get from Bridget Loughlin, the Heritage Officer with Kildare County Council, and also Hugh Fanning for his help and support from Waterways Ireland.
I skimmed across black water without once submerging onto the banks of an urban morning that hungers the first light much, much more than the mountains ever do. And she, like a ghost beside me, goes down with the ease of a dolphin and emerges unlearned and shame and harm. For she is the perfect creature, a natural in every feature, and I am the geek with the alchemist's stone. For all of you who must discover, for all who seek to understand, for having left the path of others, you find a very special hand. And it is a holy thing, and it is a precious time, and it is the only way. Forget-me-nots among the snow, it's always been and so it goes, to ponder his debt and his life eternally. For all of you who must discover, for all who seek to understand, for having left the path of others, you find a very special hand. And it is a holy thing, and it is a precious time, and it is the only way. Forget-me-nots among the snow, it's always been, and so it goes, to ponder his death and his life eternally. Bright blue rose outlives all those 2,000 years, and still it goes, to ponder his death and his life eternally.
Unfortunately, due to the COVID-19, we haven't been able to have our annual trip and walk around the area. But I hope you have enjoyed our virtual trip around the community, and that you'll be welcome to come and join us at any time.